Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be testing out, this is a JCat Beauty Extreme Access Pocket Shadow Palette, and this is in Walk of Stardom. It's a, if I can get it open, I have to get out my tweezers. It's a very fall looking palette. I haven't tried anything from this brand, so we're going to test this out. So if that sounds interesting, stick around. That's what we're going to be doing. Please take a moment, hit that subscribe button if you are not subscribed already. I would really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. It's the polite thing to do, so go ahead and do that. And then yeah, we're just going to get into it. So here's the palette. I had to get out the tweezers to open it, but yeah, the only thing that I really know about JCat Beauty is that like a year or two ago, Kathleen Lights raved about their liquid liner and said that it was really, really good. I think that was JCat Beauty. Maybe I'm wrong. I have never tried anything from this brand. I don't know much about this brand, so we're just going to dive in. I think I'm just going to do this eye. I've already primed it. I have the MAC Paint Pot in Soft Ochre. My face is done. Everything on my face is pretty much drugstore except for my contour, which is just a Sephora generic palette. And then obviously I didn't grab the drugstore primer because I wasn't paying attention, but we're going to dip into this. It's like a warm reddish brown color. I don't know. I don't have high expectations for this. I will admit I'm kind of an eyeshadow snob. I kind of have fallen down the luxury eyeshadow rabbit hole, and it's really hard to come back from because I feel like drugstore just does not compare to high-end shadow. Not to say that there's not good drugstore eyeshadow out there, because there is, but it's hard for me to use stuff that's not as pigmented when I have so much stuff that is, if that makes sense. I'm just gonna go back in. So far this isn't bad, actually. I'm surprised. Like I said, I didn't have super high expectations for this. Didn't really do a transition shade, just kind of went in. I have a color switch. I'm going to clean my brush off. Just looks like this. You can buy these at Sally's. You can order them. Sephora and Ulta sell them, but you can get them pretty cheap at Sally's. I'm going to go into this orange. I think we're just going to do kind of a sunset eye. Fall. It's a very fall palette, so we're going to do a very autumn leaf. Fall eye, I think. So there's that, and I'm going to go back into that reddish shade. That is one thing I will say about drugstore versus some better high-end. Sometimes with the blending you will lose pigmentation, and you do have to spend a little more time to get the pigmentation up there, but you can get some up there. You just have to spend a little bit more time. That orange doesn't seem bad. And I would say with drugstore, you definitely probably want to have some sort of a primer down. So I'm going to go in with this yellow just above that. I did swatch some of these when I first opened this palette. This yellow didn't swatch great, but yellow is a hard color, especially for a drugstore palette. I do like that gradient. I'm going to go back in with that reddish brown color. I got this palette in the Slay Glam box for September. I got the box because there was a Glam Light palette in it, which they make the pizza palette, and so this was like a bonus palette. So I was excited to try it. And again, back in with the orange. So you see I'm just going back and forth. And a little bit more of the yellow in some spots. But I don't think that that looks bad at all. It's definitely some pigmentation there, and I like that gradient effect. I think that's pretty. So I'm going to take that reddish brown, and this isn't going to be anything complicated, I don't think. I think I'm going to do a little bit of a cut crease, but my version of a cut crease. So it's like a faux cut crease because I have hooded lids and small eyes. You can have hooded lids and do a cut crease. You just have to go above where your crease is. But the problem I run into is because my eyes are so small, it ends up being almost up to my eyebrow. And I feel like it looks a little bit ridiculous. So I'm going to take some concealer, and this is just the e.l.f. Camo concealer. And this is generally what I use to cut the crease. I like this for that. And I just take it up to my lid. I don't go past it. And it's okay if you get a little bit, like I got a little tiny dot right there. If you put shadow on your lower lash line, it'll cover it up anyway, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, if you've got hooded lids like me, the option is going to be like what I'm doing, where I go just right up to where my eyelid sinks in and stop, or you can go above where your crease naturally would be. Like I said, I have small eyes, so I just don't have the space, and it tends to look silly because it looks like my eyelid is like my whole eye. I just don't have a big enough eyelid. So I found that this looks better on me. So I'm going to go back in with that yellow, I think. And I've just really loaded it up, and I'm just going to pat it. Not so much brush it on as patting it onto the concealer. Really getting it to stick and putting it down on that base should make it more vibrant. Because like I said, the yellow didn't swatch great. I don't put a lot of stock in swatches because I've had palettes that don't swatch good, but they perform just fine on the eyelid. But it does give you an idea if you're going to need to potentially build the color up. It is building. It's not the most vibrant yellow you're ever going to find, but it's pretty, and it's not horrible. Like, it did good above the crease. I'm not going to worry about that line just yet. So that I don't think looks bad. So I'm going to go in with this orange again, and we're going to take that kind of in between. There is a little bit of fallout with this, but it's not bad. So I just kind of took that in, and I'm going to go in with a little bit of this brown, I think, closer to where that line is, just to kind of blend that out. And then again with the dark red. So I used a little bit of this, and then I'm going to go in with that just on the edge. And then I flip the brush over and use the clean side and drag towards the darkest shade. If you pull it towards the light shade, you're going to muddy the colors a little bit more. Then I'm going to go back in with the orange. So yeah, this just takes a little bit of finessing because like I said, there is some pigmentation here, but it's not like pow. But again, like I said, it's not bad either. And I did get just a tiny bit of concealer up into the crease, so I just took a little bit more of that reddish brown. I'm going to darken up the outer part. I kind of want to put some of this on there, this brown, but I'm worried it's going to muddy. I definitely don't want to put this gray because I feel like that will muddy. Ooh. There's a lot of kick up with that. So I'm just taking some of that brown just on the very outer part, kind of flicking it in just to deepen up that outer corner. I think I got eyeshadow in my eye. It's all right. I'm just bringing it up to the orange, cleaning the brush off, and I'm going to go back into the orange. Had a tiny bit of fallout. If you've already got your base done like I do, just take a fluffy brush, hold back on the handle, and just light sweeping motions. If you go in with too heavy of a hand, that's when you'll get the smearing, but I don't think that looks bad. Let's go in with the yellow up here at the top one more time. I think that's pretty. It's a pretty fall eye. So for lower lash line, because we have an all matte lid, I'm just going to take like a little dense brush. Let's do one of these metallics. And these did swatch. So you've got these three are mattes, and then these three are mattes, and then these ones in here are shimmers. Let me do my brow bone before I forget. I'm going to use this lightest shimmer. We'll put that just under the brow bone. The shimmers swatched really good. The ones I did like 4 of them. I think I did these 4 or those 4. I did 4 of them when I swatched them. I swatched these 2 and this one, and then I did a couple of the shimmers, and those are pigmented. So let's do maybe this rose gold to start. Not really sure. I didn't plan this out, so I was surprised. See, look at that. And if that's dry, I haven't wet anything, haven't. That has some pigmentation for sure. So even if, I don't know what this palette retails for. I don't think these JCat palettes are very expensive, but even if you just bought it for the shimmers, I feel like you'd probably be getting a good deal. I'm going to take a little bit of this lighter copper and just go underneath. Kind of smoke that out a little bit. And then I'm going to take a thinner brush like this, and I'm going to go into that brown, just keeping it near the lash line. Just about 1/3 of the way in. Not all the way. Kind of gives it a little bit of dimension. You can put like a brown in the waterline. I'm not. My eyes run really bad if you've watched any of my other videos, so I don't really put color in my waterline. I think I'm going to take, which gold? Maybe this lightest gold, and we'll do this as a inner corner highlight. Get a little more. I like shimmer. Generally I'll do shimmer on the lid, and I'm going to drag it over just a little bit. Going to go up into the yellow slightly and then down into that copper, and then maybe just a smidge of that just to brighten it up. But I think that's pretty. I said, even if you were buying it just for these metallic shades, there is some pigmentation there, so I think that's pretty. I'm gonna clean these off and we will put some liner on. I don't really have any drugstore liners anymore. I got rid of them because I have such a hard time. Most of them are felt and I cannot do a wing if you've watched any of my videos, but I do have this LA Splash liner, so I'm gonna use this. This is probably the only drugstore one I own, and it's because this has a brush tip, it's not felt. I can do like this kind of liner across the lid with a felt, but I cannot do a wing with most felt liners. Once in a while I will come across, like, because I think the Stila one is a felt, I don't think it's a brush, and I can do a wing with that one, but for some reason the drugstore, I think because drugstore liquid liner tends to be a little bit drier and it will just skip across my eyelid, and then I have the worst time. I'm not gonna do a super dramatic wing, I don't think. Because of where my eyes are hooded, I don't have a problem doing wings. I know some people do, depending on where the creases and folds are. My problem is just doing cut creases. So there is that, and then I will put on some mascara. Let me curl these, and then we can look one more time. But I don't think this palette is bad. Like I said, I think it's under $10. I will look up the price and I will link it down below. I didn't save the card that came in the subscription box. I started to pull my inner eyelid, so my eye is watering. I didn't save the card that came in the box, so I don't remember what the price was. I want to say it's like $7.99 or $6.99 for that palette, but I will look it up and leave it down below. But if it's not a lot, even if you just bought it for those metallic shades, I think you would probably still be getting a good deal. But the mattes that I used weren't bad, and I'll swatch them all for you really quick after I finish putting the mascara on. And we can do final thoughts so you can kind of see the whole palette, since I didn't use every shade. You can kind of see how they swatch. So that is the finished look with mascara and eyeliner. Like I said, I think it's pretty. So let's swatch the palette really quick. I'll do live swatches so you can see. Dang it, I closed it and I put my tweezers back. Okay, let's do the mattes first. So we'll do this beige, the reddish brown that we used, and then there is a cool tone brown. So there's the first matte, so we'll do it. I'm going to scoot you back a little bit, tilt you down, and we'll do swatches, and then we'll do final thoughts on the palette. So there's that cream that looks like my skin tone, the reddish brown, and the cool tone brown. So you can see like that brown didn't swatch the best. And then we've got yellow, orange, and the warm brown that we used. So yellow, see that yellow doesn't swatch great. That was one that I swatched. Orange, see they swatch real light, but they are buildable because you saw that I was able to build them up. It just takes some building. So then let's do the metallics. So there's a purple, a yellow gold, and a copper. There's the copper, yellow gold, the purple, so you can see how much more intense those are, and I'll take the other three right over there. And then lastly, there's the shade we used for the brow bone highlight, the rose gold, and a dark gold, antique gold, I would say. So there's the shade that was under the brow bone. There's the rose gold that we used on the lower lash line. You can see it over my tattoo. And then the antique gold. So you can see why I was saying that even if you, it's a little flaky, but even if you just got it for these shimmers, like those are not bad. And they are, like, these are light, but like, again, like you saw, they are buildable. So I don't think this is a bad palette. I think I'm going to hold on to this. This is definitely one that I could see traveling with. I like the color scheme. I like the look that I got. I think it's really pretty. My lighter's not super close to my lid, but it's, my eyes are watering still. But yeah, so I think it's worth the price. Again, like I said, I will look up what the actual retail price is and leave it down below. But this one, again, is Walk of Stardom. It's the fall looking one. Is a good palette in my opinion. I liked it. I was pleasantly surprised. Hopefully this was helpful if you've looked at these pocket palettes and you've been curious about them. Like I said, I didn't think it was bad. Again, before you leave, please take a moment, hit that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this palette. Do you think it was good? Also leave me a comment if you have any other ones, if there's any other shade combinations that are good. Let me know and I might pick those up and I can try them too. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I will see you all in my next video, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Bye everybody.